Welcome to the Genre Report. So, haven't done one of these for about a week, and so I wanted to pop one in. Been pretty busy with school lately, working on math and English. I decided to finally take a break and watch something. So, last Genre Report we had the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, which was a lot of fun, and it got a lot of views. So I decided to go with another old movie to see if I could maybe share my review of a movie. And the one I decided to pick was Chuck Norris Invasion USA. Yep, classic. So it came out in, let's see here, 1985. Yeah, 1985, classic Chuck Norris. Now, it is 9/11. It is the 15th anniversary of 9/11. And as I watched this, I'll admit that part of me questioned why I was watching it. This movie was from a post-apocalyptic, post September 11th world. Um, it posted this was the 80s were oh wow, how should we say the 80s? The 80s were known for their action, one man army, movies, the Rambos, the Seagals, the Van Dams, oh um, Schwarzenegger, funny I just said that. So I said Rambo, being Sylvester Stallone, but I called him by character, and then the other three are actors' names. Just plugged them into whoever the character they were. And then you had the Chuck Norris, so you had Chuck Norris, and his movies were, legendary. And actually, at this point, he's actually, they're all the Chuck Norris jokes are just talk about how legendary he is. In Expendables 3, I think it was 3, where he shows up and basically takes on although everybody dies, and they're like, what took you so long? And he basically, the big joke was, he just took him out by himself, because that's what Chuck Norris does. And this is where this is one of those movies that got him that reputation of just one man army to stop an invasion. Actually, it was not all him. So let's talk about the movie though. So this is a spoiler review. Watch the movie first, then come on and talk to me about it. Or if you just want to remember what Invasion USA was like, I'm going to tell you. So it starts off with the bad guy played by, and I'm lousy at remembering names. Let's see here, Lynch. Yeah, Richard Lynch plays Rostov, Mikhail Roscoff, and he is introduced as he's a what's it called, the captain of a Coast Guard cutter, and he comes upon some some Cuban refugees they're on the boat on the way to America, and they're so happy they see Americans now. And then of course he kills them all. After saying welcome to America, then he gives them hope, and then he just obliterates the group of them, and just establishes in good 80s fashion, I am the bad guy, I deserve to die a horrible death. That's the cusp of the 80s bad guy, is he deserves to die because he is so horrible, and he goes on to do other horrible things. It turns out they find the entire crew of the cutter dead, so he killed all of them also. And then then he goes and he goes to sell some the cocaine to the cocaine people, and Yeah, you know, you know, I'm gonna get your weapons. I'm gonna get weapons for cocaine, but I'm gonna kill you anyway. So, you know, he kills them. You know, he takes the guy and he puts him up against and shoots him, and the woman he like shoves the cocaine straw up her nose and then tosses her out a window because that's not gonna draw attention. I mean, it's crazy. um, Lots of carnage in this movie. I mean, I would be interested to know what the body count of this movie is, just because there's just a lot of body count. But there's a large body count, but there is also a lot of wasted bullets. Oh my goodness, they just basically just. I mean, they were shooting up everything. They were just walking in, you know, shooting, and so there's just the walls were just, you know, peppered with bullet holes in almost every scene. And then it turns out it's Christmas in Miami, and they go and they like shoot up like this, you know, iconic little suburb, you know, blow it up with rocket launchers, you know. Lots of, you know, the thing about Invasion USA was it was the dawn of the Uzi. You know, you had the dual wielding Uzis by Chuck Norris. That was his thing. You know, and I'll admit I don't think I learned that you were supposed to shoot Uzis in a burst till another movie later on. But actually, when I was watching it, I noticed he was shooting in bursts. I don't know what movie it was I learned how to shoot an Uzi in, but I do remember later that it came later than Invasion USA. But I was actually, as I was watching it, I remember, because I watched this back when I was a kid. I watched all of his movies as a kid. I mean, I watched all of those action movies. I have a whole thing about Van Damme and what's his name? Van Damme and Seagal. Sorry, yeah, Seagal. So Van Damme and Seagal. I always said that you know, Van Damme got the crap beat out of him in every movie, and then at the end he would do that split kick, and then he would um, be able to go ahead and win in the end because he was able. Once he got the power of the split kick, you know, he was fine. But Seagal would move through a movie like a force of nature. So I want to say that the thing about Seagal and Norris are they both have that. And I think it comes from the karate background they both have, or the martial arts background. They're very kind of stiff, and there's not a lot of dialogue from them. You know, with your Schwarzeneggers and your you know, the thing about Schwarzenegger is he had all those 80 lines. You know, and you know, with Chuck Norris, it was more of a look. You know, he would give you that look. His big line here was, "It's time to." He would always tell Rostov it was time to die, which was weird because at the end he's like, "You know, it's time to die," and then he's like he kicks the crap out of him. He knocks him over, and then Rostov looks up. And then he's gone for some reason. You know, he decided not to finish it up right then. Gives Rostov enough time to go get a rocket launcher, and then he's looking around for him with a rocket launcher. And of course, he shows up back behind him. And I'm telling the end of the story. That actually probably isn't a good idea. But you shouldn't know that what happens at the end, because just in case you did want to watch this. Oh, it's a strong spoiler. So then, you know, he's got his own rocket launcher, and then you'll see what happens. But I mean. The other thing was, so let's talk about it. Let's talk about it here. I got to the end right away, and I should have done that. I should have started at the beginning. Let's talk about who Hunter is. You know, our hero Vigilante is basically some sort of covert operative. We determined that because he you know, they come and they give him that talk of, "We need you," and he's like, I'm not doing it this time." And then of course he, you know, ends up doing it. But and then, you know, the main bad guy is like, "I must kill Hunter because he was going to kill me before and he didn't kill me, but I need to kill him because he'll ruin all my plans." And his guy is like, no, let's not do that because it'll put us out in the open. It'll expose us. And of course it does. And then they go and they blow up the crap out of his house. Of course, the cute little armadillo pet lives, but his friend John Eagle, he didn't make it. But they blow the crap out of his house. But John Eagle gives him enough time to jump out the window. And of course, our bad guy, Mr. Rostov, he did not go to the school that said, "Hey, after I've blown up his house, let me go see if the dead body is lying somewhere, or if he made it through that big explosion." You know, I mean that was the he's like, "Oh, yep, oh, stop firing, it's done, we've killed him," and then he's all surprised that he didn't die because he didn't check, and I think it's kind of funny because you get that in like. The Minions movie, they have those oh, what are they called? Because we talked about them at the Marcon I went to. Basically the tripes, the times that the villain should have always one of the things is that the villain always is supposed to check to see if his hero is dead, because his hero is probably not dead when he thinks he's dead, and that's one of those times. So you have the that, and then he hunts him down, working his way from bad guy to bad guy. Where's Rostov? And then at some point he finally gets a hold of somebody who apparently gives them the entire plan because he's always showing up right at the right moment. There's this hilarious scene, and I say hilarious in that there's a bus full of school bus full of children singing "Row, row, row" because they're on their way to safety because the parents are setting them off to be safe, and they're like all just like robotically like "Row, row, row your boat," and they're like it's like, oh no, the bad guys are going to kill these children by not by rocket launcher. Everybody else has got rocket launchers. No, they decided to use plastique for this guy with a timer. Yeah, always have a timer on your bombs because you got to get away, right? So they can go up, they attach the bomb, and then they drive off, and then because he's got Chuck Norris sense. He realizes that he follows, he gets the thing, and then drops it onto the car, and they blow up instead of the bus. There's a lot of those moments. At one point, he's sawing when before they blow up his house. He's sawing these logs with a chainsaw, and he looks up, knowing there was like. Oh, and they're like maybe 2 miles away, but they're coming like in these four airboats, 3 to a boat with like full on armor. Each one of them have a serious machine gun, and a couple of them have the things. Oh, by the way. So you know how a rocket launcher works? I don't know if you do or not. A rocket launcher, it's like good for like one missile, and then you have to reload it, right? Because but Roscoff when he like is blowing up the little suburb, he like goes boom, boom, boom. It's like the never ending. Rocket launcher. It's like is that one of those ones that have a clip, and then the policemen are take out the the Southern Miami Community Center's little party they're having. They take them out with shotguns that. Apparently also have a giant clip. I think the only one who really ran out of bullets in this movie was Chuck Norris, because Chuck Norris, can't have, he replaced his clips a few times on his Uzis, but then eventually he put his Uzis down so he could get a bigger gun, so that it had had a grenade launcher on him, and so that the two guys are on the sides of the doors, and he knows they're on the other sides of the doors, so he blows the two sides of the doors up, and there's these giant holes where the guys used to be. It's actually it's a good movie. I mean, it's an old movie, 1985, but there is a lot of moments there where you're just like, wow. There's a sense of, oh, was this ever believable? You know, huh? But yeah, you talk about it was almost, and then I started talking about this being a September 11th and this being a post September 11th world, and um, you have this sense when you're watching it though of just there's a mercenary army invading the U.S. And it's they're doing these acts of violence, and there's really not a lot of police involvement other than the police looking for for the vigilante who's stopping things, um, but in reality, we know that the police are the ones who are going to be dealing with this, and it's a scary thing, I mean, the whole the real violence versus the it's almost cartoon violence in these '80s movies, oh yeah, as far as what's his name, Michael Bay and Transformers, they give him a lot of flack for blowing things up in Michael Bay movies. Oh my goodness. There were so many there were so many explosions. Okay, so one of the explosions that I thought was hilarious was they had this giant like suitcase full of plastique, and they were like getting a line together, and they were going to click the little thing and blow up this church. And of course, Chuck Norris sense found it, and they're like click click click, it's not working. And he's like, not working, huh? And they're like, ah, and he throws the thing down and he connects the wires and they blow up. But the explosion magnitude that would have to take out this big, this big church with it was what's that kind of not they're not bricks, they're just cement, just giant cement bricks. It's an older church, and I mean it would have they were putting it at the door, so it would have blown up the door and maybe taken out 2 or 3 people on the other side of the door. Whereas based on the explosion that took them out, because it was literally a very very limited explosion, but with as much plastique as they had, now that I've watched enough things, I know that would have taken out like half a block. It was that much plastique. But it was just we don't know that now. We didn't know that back then. We don't know what really is the ratio that would have to blow things up. But there were controlled explosions back then, and we just ate it up as I just ate it up as a kid. I was like, oh yeah, that's so amazing, and he's such a cool guy. He's killing them back, and it's like, wow, they could not make that kind of movie now. I mean, there would have to be so much more depth to the characters, other than he's a bad guy, he needs to die, and he's a good guy, and he's omnipresent in the right locations at every time so that he can stop things. And then the leading lady, she was bizarre. She was like, she was the reporter who was always in the right spot at the right time. You know, basically, I think she was at like 3 or 4 of the different attacks, and she actually called him by name one point, but they didn't know who he was. And then she followed him around, and she kept calling him cowboy, and she's like, when he gets caught, she like quips with him, and I think that's the last you ever see of her. Is when she quips with him. And that's the I don't know if there wasn't really a love interest kind of feel to it. It was just a weird relationship. And then she's like yelling for him to save her, and then yells at him for not saving her fast enough after he saves her. I mean, it was. And she was also a very belligerent kind of character. That's the whole I'm getting scooped. I'm the press. It was a very much the investigative journalist was a character that they used a lot back in the '80s. They do not do that as much anymore. It's now it'd probably be a vlogger or something. They don't really, you know, there's not as much that kind of uh, hype on about a reporter, but they used the reporter a lot back in the '80s. Oh, I'm trying to think about what else happened in the movie. Oh yeah, so it starts off with him like in the bayou, or in, not in the bayou. I guess it's in the Everglades. He's in the Everglades, and he's got this. They're all going around on airboat rides and everything, and that's how we're introduced to him with the airboat ride. And I thought he had a mullet at first, but it turns out he's just got long hair. But he wrestles an alligator in the first few minutes of the movie, and ties it up in his jaw, and they put the alligator in a crate of some sort, it's supposed just to show how tough he is. He's an alligator wrestler. He as far as his he the FBI is like the guy he meets a couple of times. Basically, pretty much says, if he gets caught, they'll disavow him. But then at the amusement park that has been blown up, and children died apparently, and he wasn't able to save them because he was off saving somebody else because he didn't know about this one. For everyone he stops, there's 100 more. He said. He goes ahead and gives him the plan, and the guy's like, "This will never work. They'll never go for this. Do you know how much cooperation we need for this?" And then the plan turns out to be him getting captured, and then basically pissing Rossoff off to basically bring all his people to one place so that they could trap them all, and there's this giant battle that goes on. And so it seems like Chuck Norris is the one taking everybody out, but really the most of the bad guys are taken out by the army. And he just he just has the people from the helicopter. He's on top of the building, and the guy goes to take off in the helicopter, and Chuck's got a rocket launcher, and boom, blows that up, and then he goes down and basically takes out Rostov's goons, and then Rostov himself and him have to go mano a mano. And yeah, it was definitely an interesting movie. I mean, it was pure '80s escapist one man army movie is what it was. Just the whole untouchable hero, who gets he had a cut in his eye, and you could see that there was blood dripping, down there, and so he at one point did get hurt. He did not get shot, which a lot of times in the '80s, just to give the vulnerability of the hero, he would get shot in an arm or a leg, just to show that, and then of course he'd be able to limp through the rest of the thing, and still win, but you had that vulnerability of the hero, but not with Norris. Chuck Norris was one of those ones that again, he was very stone faced, or he'd have a look he'd give you. And actually in this one he did a whole lot less karate. There was some high kicks. So there was at one point I remember seeing a foot come on and basically kick a guy in the head off screen. And when I was watching it on a wide screen, but I'm thinking maybe that it may have been a little bit wider, and you might have actually seen his leg in that scene. So yeah, it was definitely interesting. Wow, I've been talking about this movie for 23 minutes. That kind of surprised me. All right, well, that's the genre report. These are a little bit longer. Just talking about 80s action movies. 85 with the movie again, Chuck Norris, Invasion USA. Have some fun. Check it out. It's always enjoyable. Hope you like my set. I got some great artwork behind me. I've gotten some of the different cons. Angela McKendrick's up there. Also, that's her work up there. And then, oh wow, I have to remember who all these artists are. And I'll have to tell you next time, because I am not thinking of the names right now. That one is he's really amazing, and oh, I've lost my brain. All right, so I will get the names of these for the next time I do one of these genre reports. All right, if you like what you're seeing and you're enjoying reminiscing about '80s action movies or whatever else I can talk about, like, comment, subscribe, offer some suggestions um, in the comments of what else you might like to see. I did the video of the the TV shows I liked. I've done a few premieres I went to. I did the reviews for that. I've done reviews for a couple of older movies. Um, you know, ask me what you would like to see in the genre report, and yeah, I will try to incorporate it. Hey, thanks a lot, John Boone, signing off.